Yeah, welcome to today's webinar, everybody. This is a webinar about all things Copilot. The title we have is From Drafts to Decisions Using Microsoft 365 Copilot Effectively in 2026. My name is Ryan. I'm the Director of Client Experience here at Kite Tech, and I'm here with Adam, as you can see on the other screen here, to present some ways to use Copilot in your business and some things maybe that have come to the platform maybe since you first dug into Copilot. Quick overview about Kite Tech Group here. We have basically got a couple things going on. You might know us from our IT services. You might know us from some of the insurance consulting things that we're doing. We've been in business for over 30 years now, helping small businesses and insurance agencies is kind of a big vertical for us. Use their technology well and also do things like security, compliance, take advantage of some of the things that Microsoft is doing from their licensing stack, including Copilot. And then we have some awesome specific trainings and consulting efforts within the Applied Epic environment and software space. And also excited to kind of launch and get kicked off in 2026 some AMS 360 consulting opportunities from system optimizations and trainings and other things of that nature, both of those tools. So we would love to connect in any of those boxes if they check, and as well as IT services, kind of like we're talking about with Copilot today here. Again, my name is Ryan. I'm the director of client experience here at Kite Tech Group. I've been on board probably for around 8 years now, believe it or not, which is crazy, and kind of gotten to see the whole Microsoft modern work journey in our business and customers that we get to serve. With me here is Adam Atwell. Want to do an intro for yourself, Adam?
Yeah, for sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. If you've been here before, or thanks for being with us if this is a first. We've been queuing up a long time collab here with Client Experience Director Ryan Emerick here, and myself and our marketing team trying to share the love of what we know out to you guys. So happy to be here with you. On to the agenda. Here's what you came to see: paid versus free, Microsoft 365 Copilot, dose of the chat. We did call out Outlook folks in what we advertised here, and we hope that you won't be disappointed with all of the work we have here. We honestly have so much in updates that we're trying to share with you guys that we had to cut a little bit of the content out. We're probably going to run long. There's a lot of ground we're going to cover here. We're going to stick it out with you in the weeds. We're going to try to deliver this clearly and efficiently, but there's a lot. And one other note for the people who are here for Outlook, sorry if we missed something in your heart today, but there's a lot of things Ryan's going to spend some time in Word talking about that have direct correlation right to Outlook. And so, and we've covered some of the Outlook stuff in the past, and I'm sure we'll come back to it in the future. So that being said, best practices beyond the core apps, a little bit of readiness, and then some next steps. So let's just dive in, right? First up, here we have free versus paid. And what does that mean for everyone today? Just a note on the journey for a second of Copilot, and this has been
Been
years
more
in the
than that.
making.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was waiting a few years back anxiously for enterprise to get it figured out so we could get our hands on it in SMB. And the reality of how fast it came was quicker than I expected. And so here we are, keeping up with the water hose, fire hose situation that it is. But realistically, Copilot's changed a lot and it continues to grow. And so that's why we feel it's important to stay up with this as fast as we can, get this data out to you guys and share the goodness. So that being said, the first most notable change is this. Microsoft 365 Copilot had a different name before. It actually has a new name now, is a better way to say it. 365 Copilot used to be $30 per user per month for those of us that live in SMB. This image doesn't completely represent it well. It might be confusing, but what thing from Microsoft marketing isn't? Love you. Seriously, Copilot for us in SMB, 300 users or less, now is $21. And it has the word business at the end of it. We're starting to get information about that. What you need to know is that the core of the product for the paid side is the same for enterprise as it is for SMB. This is just a rebrand of a new SKU for SMB with a cap on it. And so no more than 300 users for people who like math facts. Other thing to know is you cannot commingle licensing. So you can't buy 300 of business and then 301, the first one, is your enterprise. You have to follow the SKUs you have. And what I mean by that is if you have business premium, you can attach it to business or anything in the business class, standard, basic, etc. In addition to that, if you have enterprise, you must buy what is called Copilot for 30 per user per month. So that's a high level on the really rebrand and the cost affordability model for SMB. But it at its core is the same, guys. You see it on the screen here. It's Copilot Chat. That's evolved, right? We're going to cover that in a little bit. It's Copilot in apps in agentic form across these desktop apps that we know and love and use, or don't love, whatever. And they're agents, right? What is agents? Agent, these things in Teams and out, they're all agents, right? They're agent for Teams, agent for Word, but agents beyond those apps are agents you build or that extend beyond them. We covered a webinar. It was halfway decent. You might check it out. It's in the YouTube, shameless plug. The control system, that's the overarching monitor between all this stuff, and then the analytics on usage and whatnot. So that's the core of what Copilot is today at a high level. Diving in here to a lot of text, and we had to push this through the marketing back door. They let us sneak it in. A lot of words on the screen here, but this is a great reference. You can take a screenshot if you want. You can get it later. But today, this clearly outlines what's free, what's paid, and it's a great shot for later. I want to call out a few things that are uniquely different. It's the triangle, right? You see that, Ryan? What do we have? Three of them up there? Yeah. And, those things, what they're trying to say is it's not fully included, it's not excluded, right? It's something in between. And the simplest way to say that is, those features have limits. They're not the same exactly. So one example of that is that agents grounded in work data one. It's the first one with the triangle there, right? What does that mean? If you're paying for it, the agent that you build can access something else and you can build it that way. Whereas if you're paying for the free version of chat baked into your core Microsoft 365 license, no more Copilot costs. There's limits on how it can touch that data. And so those are a couple of notable things. The other line is really the autonomous action of program this agent to do things on my behalf. And that takes lots of other things. All right, we're moving on. We're ready for the app.
Free versus paid is a good differentiation here. But yeah, the Copilot app is probably the main way a lot of folks are going to interact with Copilot. It's built into a lot of places, but the Copilot app is a dedicated kind of home and a host where you can go enter in information and get exportable results. So
Yeah.
kind of wanted to start there. There's an application. You've probably seen this logo a couple places. If you haven't looked, it's in your desktop. It's maybe in some applications that you're using. It's definitely in your web browser. It's kind of a little rainbow circle icon that Microsoft is kind of labeling the Copilot ecosystem. So that's what you should expect. It exists as a business grade app in the Windows taskbar. And essentially, when you pull it up, it gives you the full featured Copilot experience as a program on your desktop. The alternative, and you really don't have too many feature differences between this, just different ways to access mostly the same thing, is to go to the website. And there's a Microsoft 365 Copilot.com link to get there. I think they've even rebranded old places I used to go, like portal.office or other places, maybe now point to Copilot as an entry gateway to a lot of Microsoft services. And that's the screen you guys can expect if you're getting there on the web. Um,
Awesome, Ryan. Just an additional side note there. So really, Copilot has accessibility in three forms, right? The desktop app, which is hiding everywhere in Windows world, and you just don't know it. The web-based experience or web app, right? And the mobile app too. That's great to call out. And we're not highlighting the mobile today. There's a lot of uniquely similar and different things there, but we can't cover it all, guys. We might come back and do that later. We do have a surprise we're hoping to get to, which is fun. But yeah, it's like three places. Fair to say?
Yep, very much. So
Awesome.
can't escape it. Here's kind of a rundown of what's in the Copilot app and some of the interface when you pull that up or get to Copilot. what shows. Again, you can do tons of different functions just with the interface in the chat box, but on the left-hand side, typically when you pull up Copilot, they give you kind of a new framework for all the different functionality, and this breaks it out. A lot of people are going to use it as a search component. So that's either searching internet-based data sources, searching the large language models that Copilot is connected to, GPT-5, all that kind of stuff in the back end. All that drives through the search interface and component of Copilot. Additionally, again, free versus paid. The paid version can access your company's data and kind of have secure connections to your stuff. So it has a bit more options to be helpful in finding emails and programs and files inside of your applications that the free version doesn't. So that's a differentiation I love to show. Chat is kind of in there for folks that are looking to use basically kind of again AI data connections, kind of building connections to their stuff. And then Adam had called out at the front end of this agents, which is a huge part of where Copilot is working and going ultimately. Um, you can make a bunch of different agents to search your stuff. You can do agents based on workflows and workloads. There's almost infinite possibilities, quite honestly, from the agent
Mm.
piece, but that's contained inside of the Copilot interface to the left here. Um, and then essentially you can also go back and say, hey, I was using Copilot a couple days ago and I had this prompt, this search. I got to pull that back up. There's a historical conversations section where you can access pretty much in full all the threads that you've interfaced with Copilot in the past, get that data and extract it or continue the conversation, which I love. So, hey, I want to continue adding or kind of want to continue dialoguing in a space, capturing more information, searching for a thing, more deep information. You go right there and you can pick up where you left off, which is great. There's a couple other features here that kind of are hidden or kind of combined from other past Microsoft features, I would say, including pages. I think that we're going to have a little bit of a show and tell potentially on that or some more information on pages later on. So I'll keep that brief. Notebooks as well, same sort of thing, where you can basically organize your documents, websites, meeting recordings. It's kind of like a home base for consolidating where you're searching and that extra information coming out. And then
And
the creation.
Ryan,
Oh,
on the
go.
notebooks, it's worth distinguishing, sorry for the
Sure.
interruption, that notebooks is not what we probably think it is. It's not a OneNote notebook. It is a notebook for Copilot conversations or output pages. And we'll show a little bit of that, but I just wanted to call it out now because the first place that my head went was, why
OneNote.
isn't this in OneNote?
Yep.
Because we love OneNote for these reasons. Sorry, Ryan.
No,
Back,
that
back
is
to
where my
you.
head goes to when I hear
Yeah,
notebooks. So worth calling out.
yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, the bottom two pieces, the create section, again, it's kind of same sort of concept with other AI tools. You can do image generation right in line inside of the Copilot platform, graphics, video, you can do banners, you can do a lot of components right inside the search interface. So that's a great add-on that kind of is built into the package. And then the app section is really what Portal.Office used to be. It's kind of rebranded library collection of the apps that are tied to your business plan. So if you have a certain subscription and apps available to you, that'll be the library where it kind of references and can link out to the other Microsoft tools right from the Copilot there. It's pretty nice.
Here's the QR code back that I snuck in to see if anybody was paying attention. We're going to move fast off of this one, guys.
So yeah, get the Copilot app. It's pretty cool. I've been testing it. It's a great way to search. Okay, I'm good.
Bottom line, done.
Very
All
smooth.
right.
This is a spot I highlight for customers all the time because a lot of the questions come in, do I have the paid version of Copilot? Do I not? What's the difference? This is just a high level. There's a couple ways to check it, but I usually point them to two places. The first place is at the top. There's usually a toggle in Copilot that if you have the paid Copilot business license that we were talking about earlier, the $21 SKU for small businesses, it would give
4:30.
you an option to search your workspace or to just search kind of the standard web and free version of Copilot. If you have the free version of Copilot chat and you're trying to interface with it that way, you're not going to have the ability to select between those two spaces. So that's
Mm.
one tell. The other tell is you get some additional functionality and features on that menu stack on the left-hand side. Some of the things that we had talked about, like notebooks or other pieces, they're not there if you're on the free license. You would have them for the paid Copilot users exclusively. So that's the visual kind of spot check as you log in, and that would be the same across applications or a lot of the views when you pull up Copilot. The work web toggle would be my tell.
Yeah, one other tell is like, and I think you have this, Ryan, in a future slide, but note, folks, here with this GPT-5 on is up there. And Ryan will cover that in more detail. I will just say that is not in every screen, and in some places it is a little bit different. There's a couple of spots that today that's a little confusing, and so Ryan's going to highlight that in a moment just to call out in between.
So yeah, this is probably the way I feel like a lot of people use Copilot and get the most value out of it. I know I get significant benefit out of the search functionality. So we figured let's start there. Essentially, Copilot is a pretty turbocharged version of search because it can pull basically information on the web. And if you have the paid and licensed version, it also can look at your stuff, which is maybe stored, saved, hidden somewhere in your documentation clutter pile that you wouldn't be able to find quickly. Copilot can get it for you. So that's probably one of the biggest benefits. And then there's a little bit of a graphic on the slide if you kind of watch that rotate through of you can search specific types of documents, you can search specific parameters as far as people maybe that collaborated with that document. You can even search places where it lives, be that SharePoint or OneDrive, and kind of filter down some of those fields to get what you're looking for. And then in return, you get basically the full modern work experience. When you load up the document, it will pull right up natively inside of PowerPoint or Word, Excel. You can kind of see the file types there that it will directly support, and take you right to those applications where you can continue modifying or working on things. So it's a great way to help find stuff that maybe is hidden away in the closet somewhere, or just do general search as far as kind of a Google or a web-based search. This is also the entry place for a lot of that stuff too. So kind of the best of both worlds all on one screen here. Pretty straightforward as far as how that works or what that looks like. There's a search bar, or kind of here's where you start in the search component. It also will look at and is smart as far as the Microsoft ecosystem to do some context-aware things, which is great, such as open items that you've maybe recently accessed or meetings that you were in attendance in. That's one of the ways I love to see, hey, I missed an item, but I know it was there last week. There's the meeting, Copilot found it for me. That kind of thing is baked into the interface in the product stack. There's some other options, again, as far as filtering file types, when you last touched the document, all those kind of things as a typical kind of old school search functionality that also play into finding the thing you're looking for. And it's a really turbocharged way to do that versus file and folder search in Windows, which takes forever or isn't targeted or isn't able to identify some of these parameters in the first place. There's significant value here in that.
Where you got to wait for your search index and crawl to get rebuilt, right?
Yep.
Deal
Yep.
breaker. Yeah.
Exactly. And then again, I kind of mentioned some of these with the flyover in that last slide, 2 slides ago, but you can do a lot of filtering, a lot of sorting here. Realistically, typically AI works, the better and more specific of a prompt you can give it, the better output that you're going to get from the search. So if you even have contents of the document or more details on what was inside of a package that you're looking for, it can accept some of those types of inputs that traditional search is not really able to capture. It's really looking for more advanced things. And again, this is kind of one of those, hey, Microsoft is continuing to change this interface. So I expect they'll continue to add features and functions as far as what it can crawl, what the search outputs. But this is a really good starting spot to just save you time and kind of build the efficiency component of your day-to-day workflows with your team.
Heck yeah, man. Awesome. We're a quarter of the way through the presentation. I'm going to speed it up, guys, just a little bit because we want to get to the demo, the good stuff. Here we go. Chat, right? So coming right off of what Ryan started, the chat is the extension to the app. It's everywhere you might want to be. It's inside of basically every place, and it's the cornerstone in front of how you access all of this. I am sure that all of you have seen it in some way, so I'm not going to read the words. They're on the screen. But the chat, right? Cornerstone of one of the aspects of the Copilot experience, certainly. It basic steps, guys, enter a prompt, it checks sources, continue the conversation. So what Ryan described of the process of interacting with it and coming back to it, it becomes a place you learn to work and you can organize your work and get to your data. You can't do everything here, but if you live in a Microsoft world that is modern focused and in modern work or modern collaboration is another way to say it, and AI driven, it has context to understand you and the way you work as well as your company. And then the more it can do that, the better it can be. And so talk to it, check its sources, give it feedback. That's part of the process of AI. Babysitting it, make raising it up, rearing it up a little bit, right? For those of us parents in the wild here. This is just a, a visual of really more of what we've already shown, but it's the center point of really the Copilot visual experience. I'm going to hit play here. The GPT-5 is what I was highlighting. Button up top, guys. It's going to become a button that in the chat experience is uniform across the apps. A couple places it's different, right? But if any of you have used ChatGPT or other forms of AI, it does reasoning. It thinks differently. It trains differently. And so, Microsoft recognizes that GPT-5, and I don't know all the numbers, versus 4 and Turbo, and with extra pickles and all that stuff. That's great. It thinks differently. And so as you start to use it, understand you may want different results. Therefore, you may prompt it to think differently on your behalf. That's the basic flow in a little video. Kind of diving in a bit more. The GPT try button, again, that's probably going to get to a point where it's just GPT-5 is there everywhere. Subtle experience differences for that button in context across the apps still. But here it is, then the pieces, chat, prompt box, pages, the same stuff we've been talking about. The toggle between work and web in the middle there, right at the top of the chat experience. It's the cornerstone of understanding who you're talking to and where it's pulling that information from. In addition to that, there's some other things there in the prompt area right below it where there's tools, right? Tools of add content, access other tools, start dictation, or even this new thing that may be coming to an audience near you called voice chat. So we're coming back to that. That's the plug in the preview. But these things, click on them, try them out. Suggested prompts at the bottom are the cornerstone to prompting you to understand. And as you look at the default agent here, as you look at other agents in Word or PowerPoint, etc., the prompts help you start how to think and approach that process. So in addition to that, here are the different pieces of the chat response. Ryan referred to earlier notebooks. And really in the back end of these responses, there's this little pages button. And you take a prompt, you take the result of that prompt, you edit it in a document form. That form is a page. That page is something called a loop component. And the loop component lives in the back end in a place you can't get to easily. And so they created notebooks as a paid feature for a place for that to go. And so some of that stuff is hidden inside the editing of pages experience. It's not completely streamlined, folks, or very consistently simple. But as you level up to the paid experience, you'll find that the features inside of pages and the editing of those loop components and getting back to them get better, get more robust, and they help understand you better. So something I've been doing lately is trying to understand how do I organize my thoughts because I have all of them that I talk to Copilot about where do I put them and get back to them, et cetera. And one of the common ones, Ryan, I think you and I have talked about this to some degree, is copying that prompt link or sharing this, page, right? This loop component, which is a page. And how do I get it to you or whatever? It doesn't look great, guys, if you just copy the text and paste it. That button's there. It's quick and dirty. It copies the sources. It's great. But really, look for the gold in the edit the prompt, the save the prompt, the copy the prompt link, right? And then starting to understand how to share that as well. And so that sharing experience really is sharing on that page loop component, and you can add standard Microsoft share permissions on it that you already likely know, like a Word doc in OneNote or OneNote doc, notebook, etc. Across OneDrive. Moving to the next page. Here we go. My chat pane doesn't look like that picture. This hits the head on kind of what exactly I was trying to describe, right? Sometimes there's feature parity across these apps. Sometimes there's not. And honestly, it creates a lot of confusion for us as end users, right? I know I get confused by where they move things. They Microsoft, any app, right? And so it's important to really understand those things in context. I want to point out a couple of icons because they're zoomed up and nice and on the screen, Ryan, and they flow right into a couple of questions we've had. So
Yeah,
one,
go for it.
on that big chart we had, and it was like free versus paid. What? There's this thing in there called EDP. Enterprise data protection is one of the cornerstones of the features that Microsoft has. It is baked into the existing Microsoft 365 licensing. So what that means is the privacy of your information that you put in there is yours to manage, to maintain, and to own. It doesn't go outside of your tenant. And so some people would define privacy as security. Some people would do the reverse. I just want to distinguish the difference between the two because of the question that came in. So here we're referring to both combined. Privacy is knowing the stuff that's there, and then the other piece is really securing where you're accessing those things, right? And so that's just a little bit about, privacy, data privacy with Microsoft. Enterprise data protection is there. We're going to do another webinar, shameless plug, called Data Governance Something Something Awesome. You'll hear about that later, and you should come if you care about managing the data you're putting in Microsoft World or wherever it is. Great principles there, and the two of those things, security and governance of that data, is how you manage it and protect your data and the privacy you care about within it. Quick little aside there, right? And totally worth the detour. And so we'll go keep going. Here's the conversation history, Ryan, right there. Boom, it's in there. You can go back in. I'll tell you a pro tip here. I have so many conversations with myself in this AI system. And I'm like, what did I say? And when? Here's the pro tip. If you're having a conversation and you know it's over and you're about to change topics, would recommend if you want to go back to it, you title it. When you click the edit in pages, it actually takes your prompt title and puts it at the top. Rename it right then and there so you can get back to it. And then also know that if you're changing threads, you should go back to the chat button and just hit it, because that workflow, if you do it, means that every conversation will be a separate chat. You won't be confused like me and have to go back and figure out, was I talking about that game? Was I talking about my 3D printing side situation? Or was it my kids? Or, oh yeah, it was actually work and it was at night and it's in this thread and I work at night and live like other people do. So that's a note on really understanding that conversation a bit. I think we're ready for word, Ryan.
I think so. Yeah. And I was going to say, I was going to touch on, I think Tracy had a question in about, is everything you're touching the paid or free version? What do we just look at? The section Adam just went through, most of that stuff, not all, but a good chunk of those chat pieces are in the free version of Copilot Chat. So that's a great place to start. The paid license gets you access to some of these specific things, and Word is one. The paid license of Copilot gets you application integrations and specific Microsoft apps like Outlook, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, definitely in Teams, some other places. That does require some of the licensing. So I kind of like to make a break there because otherwise it all looks the same, but there are some delineations. Yeah.
Yeah, and the other one there, Ryan, is Richard's question around conversations. So I'll cover that one here for
Sure.
us. The question was, does conversations refer to Teams chat and Outlook email exchanges? Great question, Richard. Thank you. The conversations is only conversations you have with the Microsoft 365 Copilot chat, right? And so those conversations live here in this way. If you're having an email exchange, the Copilot chat paid version can get to your email, Richard, by prompting and asking. It can get there, but the conversations it's referring to in this view is only the conversations you have with the agent. And aside subtlety, the conversations you have in the other apps like Word, Excel, etc. I do not believe they come here, paid or not. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Ryan, do you know?
I think it is silent in that way.
Correct. So if you want to have a conversation you save, you keep it here. Know the work you do in the Copilot agent that lives in the apps does not come back here for now, we don't think. Pretty sure. All right, Word
Yeah,
three.
let's go to Word. I was going to say this is a really practical place and way. We're jumping through here. Perfect. To basically do a lot of things, and then some of this translates also to the Outlook space, like we kind of called out in the beginning. So there is some overlap here. Try it out on your own, and that's probably the best way to check it. But kind of the bottom line for Word and all the Microsoft apps is there's going to be a nice big Copilot button right at the top ribbon in almost all of them with the paid SKU, and that gets you the Copilot assistance when you click it. It usually comes in a pane on that right-hand side. You can do a whole bunch of kind of things with that, but that's your navigational pane. You can see here there's a prompt box where you'd start to interact with Copilot. There's also some settings specifically around maybe if we want to upload a file or if we want to do some tool changes. We'll kind of walk through some of the options in there, but that's underneath the prompt box. And then underneath of that, there's some sample prompts. Potentially, hey, maybe there's a workflow that you could use a certain type of question, or you've done something before. You can kind of have Copilot start you off at square one with some thoughts and templates to run down the road. So that's what Copilot looks like from the chat function inside of Word. There's a whole heck of a lot more it can do in the app, though, which we
Yeah.
want to dive into here. Yeah.
Ryan, I'm going to just call out one piece of confusion because we
Ooh,
stepped right into this at a previous webinar. Microsoft changed this experience in the apps themselves.
correct.
And this is a very different kind of thing that was 6 to 8 months ago. And so just know that the way you're going to interact with these guys has changed a bit. And that's one of the things we're trying to highlight here. So that
Yeah,
agent
good
in
call.
there, we'll come back to that historical question here towards the end. But let's get you onto the drafting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, and kind of walk through some of these slides. So drafting is probably the biggest value add for a lot of people, and it basically is a great way to start content or start a document or an email in this case as well. So you can draft content right inside of that Copilot window. I think this is where we're going. Here we go. You can basically request it to start you and hey, can I give it a prompt maybe to start a standard operating procedure or a certain type of document? Or can I have a framework or something to kind of get you started? That's how I use Copilot. And it will be able to translate that right inside of Word and put it into the document shell itself. Now, that's kind of a standard, kind of easy entry place. This slide here it kind of takes it to the next level, which is awesome, where you can actually give it specific attachments and reference points, essentially reference items to say, hey, I'd really like some drafting and create something in Word that way, but here's some specific details really to utilize in making that prompt or creating the output. You can upload files in here, specifically like Word files. I believe you can do email files. There's a couple different types of content. Upload that along with your prompt and what you're looking for in the output space. And then Copilot is able to take those really specific pieces of information instead of going to the large language model and just kind of starting there. It can really be specific and precise and give you outputs inside of the Word application based on what you tell it. So it's a kind of the next level of not only here's where some text starts, but here's specific text that I already maybe have on file to take it to the next level. It's a great place to be. And much of that translates to the Outlook space. Um,
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was what I was gonna say. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep, yeah, I was gonna say there's a lot of overlap here for sure. Not 100% parity, but and this is another space. I know there's some similar features in Outlook, but one thing people really appreciate from Copilot is it can help you change the way kind of your writing is structured or add to it or make it more formal, things of that nature. You see on the left-hand side here, this is kind of what was entered in by the user to Word as a sample, and you can write in line in the application highlight those pieces that you want or specific parts of maybe a paragraph or some document that you're working on. And if you click into the Copilot function, there's a couple different drop downs obviously there, but you can have it expand or add content to a framework that you already have in the document. And not only that, it's not kind of take it or leave it. It gives you some options to basically select different types of tone, gives you options to select. It'll generate a couple different versions potentially, and you can select the one that best fits what you're trying to do. So it's really about kind of editing and expanding the type of content that you're able to generate inside of the application, even just from a small prompt such as the one here on the screen. It's a great place to kind of help with writing content.
Yep. Make more words, make less words, expand or rewrite. Yeah. What if I want to zoom in a little bit, Ryan, to only a part of the document? Can I do that?
That is a great question. You throw me a curveball here. I think you can.
You can.
You
It's on
can,
the screen.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, there's a search component here as well that kind of happens in line in the document here. You can also, yeah, again, the tone is something I kind of referenced before, but that's something I appreciate. Certain
Yep.
really have a formal tone, some are informal. A lot of that
Yep.
also translates to Outlook, but yeah, there's a lot of kind of how do we want to structure the writing around you so it is a more personalized option of content versus just a straight output in the chat side of things.
And this screen specifically that I was tripping Ryan up on purpose, because we don't write a whole lot of documents, guys. We do a lot of demos that we show this value, but this is really just capture a piece of your Word document, select it, and say, rewrite this. And that's what this experience looks like. So expand it, start new, change the whole thing, or get a piece and zoom in on that, if you will. How about these last two pieces for Word, pasted content? I mean, how many times, Ryan, have you gone in and said, boom, here's this thing, and then you copied it from one place and you brought it in from another, and it looks horrendous, right? Talk to us about this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm usually a big fan of what is it, the Control Shift V to paste or change the formatting or just fighting with the document ultimately. And you still maybe have to do that a little bit. But Copilot, you can give it specific areas of capture, whether it's a table or whether it's just formatting changes that you want to make. And it's smart enough to be able to transform that type of data essentially. Polish is the term Microsoft has in their documentation, but
Yeah.
translate that into a better visual even if it's kind of a rough input from your Word application here. So you get to that just by right clicking and visualize as a table is the option that's selected here. So it can identify cells, place the data, and kind of get you a more clean option, almost Excel-like in the document and right in line, which is great.
Tabular format, I think, is the official language, but I typically don't use $25 college words. It's just ones I make up and don't pronounce properly. Talk about design and cleanup, right? And making things look polished, right? I think this is one place that I'll highlight a few notable differences in Microsoft's acknowledgement, if you will, to making things look visually pleasing, right? So in the back end, Microsoft's been working on this thing called Microsoft Designer. It was a consumer-based product first. And for a long time, AI generation of imaging for Microsoft was exclusive in the consumer product, right? We've seen templates, right? You guys have all guys and gals have all seen templates over the years. Some of those are great starting points across the Word and other app experiences. But really, Microsoft has recognized these things are dated. And even though we ran these websites and user-driven community for templates and all that stuff, we need to modernize it. And so the way they're doing that is through what they're calling Designer. Not all of the features of Microsoft Designer are screaming and in our face, but we see pieces of them. This is one of them. And just a highlight of it, it can go in, you interact with the chat and you give it some things. And so you're getting an indirect approach inward, right? Why? Because it knows, Microsoft knows, I'm sure, rather that their designer that they've started, I'll call it legacy designer because I like putting the word legacy out there. Their older designer, a legacy designer, right? That guy is still there and it works in the templates, but this is the newness and it's coming in with an awareness to designer for Microsoft, right? And that's just a dose of it there to share and highlight. Also, that same back end of designer is at the cornerstone of image generation, which is in another experience. And we're not doing all the pretty stuff, awesome, cool stuff, marketing stuff today, but maybe in a future audience with us. How about, selected text, right? What's this one about, Ryan?
Yeah, this translates pretty well over to Outlook, to be honest with you, but it's
Yeah,
it's kind of around yeah, some coaching components of, hey, if I want to kind of take my text and do some edits to it, Copilot's pretty specific about instructions that you can have it clarify text. You can have it really improve just grammatical things in writing, either your documents or items that you're kind of running Copilot on as an end user. It's a great place to kind of help walk through improvements. And then there's a carousel, like the slide highlights here, of options, essentially. It's not one size fits all, but it tries to give you a couple ways when you highlight text to coach and improve the content on the page. So it's a great coaching option. Yep.
for sure. Definitely, and also in there, Ryan said it. This stuff translates over to things you'll see right in line in Outlook for sure, right? Understand that the more you interact with these things, the more it understands your style, just like other forms of AI, right? And that's not exclusive to the chat outside of these apps. It's across it. And so you'll see your personality and feedback to the agents show up in some of the language you see across these things. I think the one last highlight, we actually have two, Ryan, on Word. This is the tabular view, right? We talked about clean it up and make it look pretty, but this is actually going through and taking text you have and representing it in a different way through a prompt. Visualize this as a column outline, right? And so I say things like that, and we'll say I need column headings for these things. Build me a 3 by 4 matrix. It understands language from people who think in math and people who think in people words. So that's a pretty cool thing in that side. Anything to add on that?
No, I think it's a pretty cool option as far as tabular. Yeah.
Okay. What about this one feature that my wife keeps telling me about, and something about inside thoughts, outside thoughts, and bottom line? Are you ready for that one?
This is one of my favorites, and I know
Okay.
a couple people on my team use this all the time. It's the summarizing feature of Copilot, and it extends a lot of different places. But
Yeah.
essentially, if you got a lot of words or a larger document that you're trying to comb through and really need to get bottom line, high level, cut to the chase, right? Copilot does a pretty good job if you click on the create a summary or summarize content pathway here to tell you in a really short format what the detail was. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of other places. Copilot can do this in email form. You can definitely do it in Teams, which we'll actually probably show on the screen in a bit. A couple
Mhm.
other places, but summarization, just as a general trend, is one of Copilot's strengths in combing through that information and quickly getting you a bottom line of what you missed or what the details there are. It's awesome add-on. Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet. Well, we're going to fly through the rest of these a little bit fast. I'm going to drive us through them. We're in PowerPoint now, which is great.
PowerPoint deck. Yep.
Yeah, we built this deck in PowerPoint. PowerPoint's got the same chat box that the rest of the apps do, right? That view is the same, guys. That's part of the new change. Popping in here to the confusion that's been created in PowerPoint specifically from, hey, this was there and then it moved over there. What do I do and how do I get to it, right? So there's the ribbon button right up there at the top, the good old ribbon. We love it. And you can click it and open it, and that's great, right? And that whole experience of really just trying to get to this app in this toolbar, you'll find that it looks a little different, right? Like that visual that we showed, but that app is there, that panel's there, and you'll click on it, interact with it. In addition to that, you'll also have the ability to add files or reference what's already there, talk to it, etc. Gives you those prompts like we've seen and pointed out in other areas. But the one I think defining piece of confusion is to understand how to take what's here and get it over there. And really, you got to look for it, honestly. So what I find in simple terms is this is great if you're used to starting something brand new or going in here and kind of give you a starting point and that kind of thing. But really the experience in PowerPoint is continuing to change and get better. And so I think they're going to keep overhauling this to make it more streamlined. Part of the UI was behind a little magic wand, and that experience was a visual overlay that's still there but hiding a little bit and hard to get to. And so, more or less, just keep clicking on that Copilot button. And even if it's not doing what you expect, just talk to it. And maybe that sounds ridiculous, but for me, for instance, I went in after they did this change and I'm like, hey, all I want to do is give this thing a prompt to start a doc, make me a 10-page PowerPoint deck on how to train my dog tricks, right? Great. Okay. Boom, go. And here's a reference to this website I found. You can't really do that easily through this GUI without clicking these buttons and understanding what's there. So try those things. Know that it is changing, so some of it is going to move around a little bit because their UI they're working on. But give it a go. It's worth it. One other thing here, you can see we're going through add the doc, share it, all those same controls. They're trying to bring them everywhere, but they're hiding from you. So you need to know you need to click the buttons to do it. So I think that's largely it. This is the one that's also hiding, right? The little maybe it was never a magic wand. It was just stars with star trails, right? And I don't know. But this one here is really the magic of the starting point. And it's up there in file new. When you go to new, it's hiding, right? As a new document. Create a new, ask Copilot, and then you just talk to the little mini chat window in the new file experience. And that's how that works. More designer related things I would expect to come front and center into really this PowerPoint experience. It is the biggest thing to overhaul from a visualization, excuse me, a visual standpoint. And so I think they're trying to build something really big here and integrated. I just don't know what yet. So I'm looking for it.
And Adam, if you could you flash back to the PowerPoint slides really quick because we got a question I think from
Yeah.
Hope about hey browser versions of Microsoft products, client
Uh-huh.
versions. Does
Yeah.
Copilot work better in one or the other? I like this one because the screenshot here is of the full featured PowerPoint program. If you look at that, the Microsoft 365 subscription version, obviously, but that's the native program on your desktop, running and doing its thing, and Copilot's going to operate there. Copilot will also be, if you're in the web version of those programs, either out of necessity or because it's an easy place to work. I'm in there quite frequently. They work great. It's the same Copilot experience in both. So just to
Yeah.
kind of highlight, when you have the paid version, it comes down to the apps in your computer and the browser version, regardless of what you're using. Yep.
Yeah, great question. I think the one call out I would say is what I've observed from desktop browser versus desktop application. They almost always have feature parity across both. The one place that is different to some degree in how you get to it is classic Outlook and new Outlook. Those are maybe old marketing terms, but you're going to see some slight differences. It's like an add-on weight kind of thing rather than a streamlined experience. And but functionality almost one to one between web and mobile might be, excuse me, not web and mobile, web and desktop application, and it might just look a little bit different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great question.
great
Well,
question.
hey, what does Copilot look like in Teams? Many of you guys are using
Yep.
Teams for chat, collaboration, kind of modern work, meetings. There's a lot of places where Copilot connects, but we'll kind of hit some of the highlights here. There's options when you have the paid version of Copilot where you can engage it on a one-on-one chat. If you have a direct kind of a connection or a chat with an employee or coworker, you can have Copilot integrate into that and really do any of the sort of things we talked about earlier. You could summarize some chats, you could do some searching of specific content or files in the chat, or just do kind of the normal prompt, hey, I need some help generating a message to
Yeah.
this employee. Let's go ahead and do that. So it's really in line with the chat experience, and it's a great place to kind of do that one-on-one. Um,
I like these two call outs here and prompt suggestions for teams, Ryan. One is what decisions were made. I don't know how many times I'm in a chat and there's two walls of text that I don't have time to read, but I care to understand. And it's like, dude, what? Give me a bottom line. And Copilot does that really well. Open items and summary. Like if I went away and took a break for a week, right? I came back from the holiday season. I'd love to say highlights from the past 7 days on the company channels and see what happened, right? So two highly streamlined ways, right? Chat summaries here, similar to what we see in Outlook, right?
Yep, and I think it applies again. One-on-one chats, great place to start. A lot of times it's the group chats you probably get the most value out of. A lot of people talking, a lot of conversations. The right side of the pane again is the catch-up feature or summarizing chat to kind of bring back key points, even essentially mentions in the chat, which is great. I know there's some components of you can call out people in meetings if it's run with Copilot, and that'll grab kind of mentions for specific staff members. So again, if there's a lot going on, this will bring you to current in a really, really clear, concise way inside of Teams.
Yeah, let's take them to the whole awareness to context, if you will, right? The smart actions or coach marks. Talk about that, Ryan, if you don't mind a moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say this one. I've probably not used this one as much as other features, but it's pretty powerful. I was gonna say, and Adam, I'll take your
Yeah,
input.
I can handle this one. So it's really UI screaming at you and saying, "Hey, we think you need to know about this." That's how I would describe it. And so as it becomes more context aware and it pays attention to the way you live, breathe, and work inside these apps, Teams knows you're collaborating. Hey, it's doing this. He clicks this 5 times a day, and then it figures it out. It's kind of cool and creepy all at the same time. But thanks, Copilot. Channels. Yeah.
Sure.
Awesome. Let's jump to channels then. So just diving straight in, right? A lot of times folks are using channels. Those were chats and some things like that, but it is important to highlight and understand how Copilot lives in teams differently, right? This is not a Teams webinar, and if it was, I'd go down all kinds of cool rabbit holes for communication tips and tricks. But the one thing to know is Copilot looks at these different layers of communication very, very differently. So let me show you now what that means with words. So boom, this is a channel view, right? It's a threaded deal. You can see there's 8 replies highlighted in red, right? Do I want that detail? I don't know. I don't have time to click it, right? You can ask Copilot, give me highlights from this conversation. You see it's in that drop down. You can also hit the button of Copilot and it pops out and it gives you more context to interact with. So really, really useful for summarizing channel posts. Really, really useful giving you bottom lines from meetings if they're channel bound, and then things like that. And so Copilot continues to understand your habits, how you work, and how it's different. And so that's a little bit about kind of channels, right? In addition to that, this is what we were describing as prompts and really things that make it different inside of really the experience of the channel itself, right? So get the key info of what you're seeing there, try out all the prompts, right? Give me highlights from this conversation. That's in that chat bubble in it, and it tells you. You can also say, hey, what happened in channel name this, and ask it. So it knows.
Yeah, those can be very active places, and it's hard to kind of read all the things that are going on in a timely fashion. Copilot definitely helps surface the most relevant stuff to you when you run that Copilot on.
Throwback,
Yep.
throwback, throwback.
Yeah, I
Welcome
was gonna say,
back.
I'll
Boom.
definitely take this one as far as this is probably we take a lot of Teams calls, a lot of meetings internally. You guys probably do too, either with your staff or with clients. And Teams is a great place to get value out of Copilot because of this feature. This is one of the big ones here. Microsoft calls it intelligent meeting recap. And basically, when you have a meeting, either recorded or just with the transcript available, but recording will get you the full features of that call. It will basically go through and do an AI note summary, kind of like some of the AI note takers you maybe have seen in the marketplace of all the different call notes. It'll be a pretty good representation of what's going on in the call. And even inside of these notes, when you click, this isn't an actionable visual, but it gives you summarized kind of bullet points inside of each like sub item where there's a really in-depth review of what was talked about, follow-up items, action items for specific people. There's places where you can call out coworkers and employees. I know Adam is guilty of this. He'll call out people in the Copilot chat, and it'll actually highlight them in the mention section of the transcript, so that make sure they get that action item if they're present in the meeting or if they're not. It's a great way to kind of get
Yeah.
those remote and in-person people on the same page through a recorded call. And then there's
Yeah.
just some cool items I like as far as it grabs any content that was shared during the meeting, whether documents, PDFs, anything like that. So relevant stuff gets surfaced right here in front of you. And it'll even kind of tell you, hey, who was talking during the call. If there's kind of somebody leading the meeting or if there's other departments that have a lot to say in a particular call, you can see it at a high level here and really drill down on that. So this is probably one of the most inside of Teams high value items for us and our team. Yeah, just with the outputs and all the AI features, it's great.
For sure. And this is available as a standalone license if you just want meetings. Now that Copilot exists, this is worth just buying Copilot for sure. It's affordable. But they had a standalone Teams Premium add-on that does other Teams things, but it does this as well.
Yeah, so this is kind of, we alluded to this at the beginning, but Copilot, they've restructured and kind of repriced for SMB specifically, now what's called Copilot Business. So that SKU will get you basically all the paid features and the in-app features that we hit on in the webinar today. Everything that we talked about slide-wise comes in this package. It's at $21 per user per month for the Copilot Business with an annual commitment. And there's actually kind of a promo running if you buy, I guess through quarter 1, I think is the discount time here, where there's kind of a discount of $18 per user per month if you kind of jump on kind of early adoption of that SKU, which is awesome to see. A lot of you maybe are even using other Microsoft products like Microsoft Business Premium at the same time, where you have Business Premium, but you don't have any AI Copilot. Microsoft has kind of brought to market an option that's a really good kind of intro, really low cost way to get experience in Copilot, test it out, see if your team gets some value out of it in this middle bundle here, which is Business Premium. You're probably already using some of those pieces today, plus the Copilot Business SKU at a really reduced price. There's a promo going on again through the end of the quarter 1 here. Where if you buy more than 10 licenses of that, which is a pretty low bar to entry, they'll get you at $32 per user per month on that product, which is basically Copilot for less than $10 if you kind of do the rough math of what that is versus Business Premium. It's a pretty good starting spot. And then in addition, there's some kind of compliance, and there's a whole nother webinar that's coming on this, so I don't want to give away the lead too much, but there's some pieces that Microsoft gives you as far as managing your data and managing where stuff lives, where Copilot or your AI agents have access to, or where they shouldn't have access to, and a whole litany of other features that basically live inside of what Microsoft has called for years Purview Suite. And they have brought that down in the last several months to the business SMB space with this Purview Suite add-on. There's kind of a discounted price, standard pricing of $10 per user per month. $5 per user per month is kind of their promo price for the next few months to kind of get people started in setting up your data and giving you access to some additional security controls to help as AI adoption and some of the governance kind of takes off here in quarter 1 and quarter 2. So, yeah,
And here's a shameless plug for a loophole that may or may not exist. If you want to find out, talk to Ryan if you're part of our team or
no, knock on
our
my door.
here it is. These promos do end, here at March 31. Microsoft stated that. But to take advantage of them, you just need to meet the minimums today. And so it is an annual commit on each of these. But if you're not sure if this makes sense for your business, and when I say this, I mean it sincerely, the Purview Suite for Business Premium, guys, gals, is the only way to do this comprehensively well. AI through Microsoft. You really can't do it as easy. You got to do it manually if you don't do it that way. Organizing, structuring your data, all these things and other things are in there. And this helps enable AI that's safe. That's the bottom line in the preview hook. But you can just start with a small, commitment. And so talk to us, talk to whoever helps you with IT, right, about trying to take advantage of this and get there. We're going to jump here to Copilot skills, right? Three different highlighted resources. Copilot Academy is a built-in kind of experience for education around Copilot. We have started to adventure down this road and kind of help trying to build a training plan or an education plan for folks. The hard part here is it keeps growing, right? And so I'll tell you guys, you can have all the documentation in the world, all the best videos and all that. If you don't have a structured plan with organizational alignment, results vary. And there's some organizations that's different. But if you really want to see AI and Copilot change your business in a remarkable, notable way, you need a plan. This is just a piece of it. It's education, right? And there's some options there for it. And so they're good. But take these resources down. All of them come from adoption.microsoft.com/copilot for the landing. For most of these, learn is learn.microsoft.com for more education. We're a company that really helps, really tries to help in the Microsoft ecosystem, right? We care a lot about helping folks get value out of the money they spend each and every month. These are ways we could help you through this journey. Readiness assessment on this Copilot stuff. What do you need to know before you get started? How do you adopt it well and protect and honor the investment in your time and money? How do you organize that data, right? And then this fourth one, which is kind of really cool and overwhelming and awesome all at the same time, it's how do you use Copilot agents to build and integrate to your business and solve business problems. There's things that you do in your first party applications that you get your line of business provider from. You're going to do it there. You're probably going to do AI there better, but you live in Microsoft. and understanding how you can use AI there is a combination between all of these things. And then how you extend it to what you do each and every day is really pieces of these strung together in very methodical ways. That was a plug. Here are other services. Ryan covered some of these at the beginning. Here they are again in case you needed to hear them. We're going to do one more QR code before we throw up this here. This is the data governance webinar that we've been talking about. This is coming here March 11th. Mark your calendars, 2 p.m. Eastern. Sign up, scan. They're in all the places we put things. Hope to see you there. Other webinars highlighting two-part webinar series on agency results with Epic, right? Book of Business Reports, two-parter. And then managing producer and broker commissions in AMS 360. So they're the two opportunities. We're going to transition to questions now. I'm going to break the screen share a moment to prep for this quick demo of the preview feature that's fun and exciting. And Ryan, you want to start the tackle on two of them while I'm getting this queued up, please?
Yeah, I can run down. Got a bunch of questions. If you guys have some, put them in the chat now as well, because we should be able to do some live Q&A. Lisa had a question about, the pricing of it. Can I pay the $21 per month individually and incorporate it into our business version? I'm not sure exactly kind of what version you guys are using today, but you can buy Copilot as a standalone product to kind of just sum that up. So yes, it will plug into your existing Microsoft environment. You can buy one SKU. You can buy it for a single person if you want to have a testing group or just get your hands wet, just one person without the whole team being committed to it. So it's flexible, same kind of product design as the rest of the Microsoft ecosystem of products there. There's one or two in here, I think, about pieces of Excel.
We left it out. It's very different. It's very specialized, and we very much want to bring something in the future. So not committing to it, hoping for something and wishing for you, but no Excel here today. Stay tuned.
We saw the tables in Word that got us excited, I think, Adam,
Yeah,
right?
I know everybody loves tables. I'm going
Go
to
for
jump
it.
to the demo here, and this is a piece of Copilot that is so useful, folks. And I really use this in in places where I can't get to my computer. So I use my mobile phone a lot. And this feature over here is called New Voice Chat. I'm going to just run through this experience so you can see it, feel it, and hear it live. Click the button. I have to allow it to hear my voice. So there it goes. It's coming through. And then I'm just gonna say, do you know who Kite Technology Group is?
Ah, got it. So, Kite Technology Group has been around for over 30 years, serving the tech needs of businesses across the country. They provide IT services and solutions to help businesses run smoothly and efficiently.
Awesome. That's really awesome. Can you tell me how I can get to them or give me three bottom lines on why I might want to talk to them?
Sure. So, a few top reasons you might want to connect with Kite Technology Group. First, they've got decades of experience, so they know the ins and outs of IT for businesses.
Hmm.
Second, they focus on helping organizations increase efficiency and security, which is huge for growth. And third, they offer personalized solutions, so it's not just a one size fits all approach. As for reaching out, you can check their website or look them up for more direct contact info, but that's why they might be a great partner.
Okay. I did not stage any of that. I promise you. I did it on the fly. That is a premium feature. So it costs money to get to. But for me, I take in information everywhere. It is so useful to have a voice conversation that I can interact with, get focused to business. It can't understand all your data, maybe coming soon, and it does not have a seamless transition back to chat or like a transcript in any way just yet. But just wanted to highlight that as one of the coolest, newest features for me that I've seen, Ryan. And that's the plug. That's the awesome. We're back to questions.
We got to go talk to those lead gen guys. That seems pretty cool. Lead capture people. Okay, here's one I think from Kat. Is there a course or a way we can kind of learn how to optimize using the paid version of Copilot a little bit more? What do we do with that?
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to continue to do education here. We don't have a paid course yet, I should say. We're working on building something. And again, in the way that this stuff keeps changing, that's something that we recognize and we're trying to keep it up in a way that we can help folks understand it. Future state, if you're interested in really getting something for an organization, we would love to have a conversation and help you out with that. Some of those resources we shared are free. If you want something that is worth paying for, it should be custom and focused on more than the application, I think. Because then it gives you the ability to not just leverage the technology, but apply it to your business. And so I think you'll find results vary as to how many different people can help you with AI. But what you want to do is talk to somebody who understands your business, wherever you sit, the vertical it sits in, and how it interfaces with this technology. So those are a couple of recommendations for thoughts beyond just a paid course.
Yeah, that's great. We get a question in from Eric. Erica, in Teams, are you able to ask it to build an SOP, standard operating procedure, from the info? And I'll grab that one. You can enter basically any prompt you want in any Copilot location, but there are some spots that probably make more sense for certain types of inputs, I would say. With that, it probably makes sense to start that kind of a question in the chat or in the Copilot app, the beginning part of our presentation, to ask it to generate an SOP there. Some of the reasoning behind that is you'll get basically a full text output and you can give it really specific instructions for what's on an SOP. We've done that internally for kind of testing or some of our documentation and lay out the design right in there. And then I think Adam's piece was probably what I would highlight of you can then say, hey, I want to edit it right in the Copilot ecosystem using some of the page functionality or the copy and paste and the export of the formatting comes right out of Copilot and can be adjusted there versus doing it inside of Teams or another input place. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's a wrong answer to that question. I know a great place to start for that type of thing. And honestly, many of the prompts is just directly in the Copilot app or the URL on the website as a homepage. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll point out one thing, Ryan, that is a differentiator there. Like Ryan said, the pages function really extends that and gives you more functionality. Unfortunately, you can't actually really easy, Erica, get what you generate inside of the Copilot chat experience where conversations happen and translate that across the modern work to OneDrive to SharePoint. A lot of times, sometimes results vary. They'll put in a temporary file, right? And it'll be right there in chat. You go to get back to it later and it's not there. When you actually take that prompt and edit it in Pages in line where you want to chat, because it's a great big view, that button up in that top right, click on those. And there's one up there that says open in Word or make me a presentation. You do it there and then it's saved to your OneDrive. And as soon as you do that, it saves it to a default spot in your OneDrive. So if you're looking to interact with documents and save them, you need that premium feature, which is tied to the pages and those experiences that come, so you can organize all that easily. Otherwise, you're downloading every document and then you're going through and you're uploading it to OneDrive or wherever you store. Is that helpful, Ryan?
Yeah, I think that's there's not a wrong answer, but there's definitely better places to start for sure in Copilot
Yeah.
ecosystem. Yeah.
Mhm.
Danny has a question about is using Copilot in Teams the same experience as inside of the application? I think that's another browser versus app kind of question in Teams. Mhm.
For sure. Yeah. So I would say that it is similar. It is just trimmed down. One of the things in all of the applications, when you click the Copilot button and you have the sidebar, the screen real estate's much harder to see and interact with. And so for me, it's not the same experience. So I've adjusted my workflows based on how I prefer to view things. In terms of core functionality, I'm pretty sure it's one-to-one now. So no limits there, just workflows on how you interact with the data you're making, creating, or updating.
And I think it does
Yeah,
extend down to mobile as well.
it
If you're
does.
licensed and you have it on your phone for kind of Teams plus Copilot, there's
Yes,
similar buttons and kind of functionality on the mobile device inside of Teams as well.
there sure is. That's right.
Cool. I think that's most of the
Awesome.
questions that I'm seeing here.
Woo! Thank you guys for being here with us today. On the screen, you have a QR code if you want to get in touch with us and you don't already communicate with us. If you're a partner of ours already, a customer of ours, you probably know Ryan or someone from his team, Ryan, right? Any plug for the CXM team?
I was gonna say we are definitely interested and able to help with some of those like Copilot SKUs and bundles. There's kind of a lot of a lot
Yeah.
of unpacking what that could mean for you. So yeah, knock on your CXM's door. We're happy to help. Some of those bundles are cool ways to upgrade, and you can even upgrade existing license commitments. So yeah, we'll help and walk through that process with you. Get in touch for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here with us today. We hope you have a wonderful journey in the rest of your day. And we hope to see you out there in the interwebs or in person or anywhere in between in the near future. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.